$100 MBA Show, and today is a Q&A Weekends episode where we answer your question right here on the show. If you have a question you want to ask, just email us over at support@businessrepublic.net. We would love to answer your question right here on Q&A Weekends. As always, I'm your host, your coach, your teacher, Omar Zenhom. I'm also the co-founder of the $100 MBA. You can check us out over at 100mba.net. Today's question comes from Kyle. And Kyle asks, what's one piece of business advice you would tell your younger self? Wow, what an interesting question, Kyle. And I really had to think about this one, especially because it's just one piece of advice. I would give tons of advice to my younger self, but if there's one piece of business advice I would give myself or anybody else who's starting out, it would have to be this one, the one I'll be discussing in today's episode. So let's get into it, guys. Let's get down to business. Today's episode of the $100 MBA Show is sponsored by Design Crowd. Design Crowd is a website that helps startups and small businesses crowdsource custom graphics, logos, and website designs from designers around the world. Design Crowd has over 500,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with your awesome creative ideas. Check out designcrowd.com/MBA to learn more and receive your $100 MBA VIP offer. You'll save up to $100 on your next project. Don't settle. Get the best results from your designs at designcrowd.com/MBA. So today Kyle asks, what's the one piece of business advice you tell your younger self? And I thought really long and hard on this one because it's just one piece of advice. And if I'm going to be giving this advice to myself when I was just getting started, it'd probably be very, very practical in nature. Because when you're getting started, you really just need to know what to do. You just need to just do things. There's a lot of very important mindset things in business that you need to have, and they're more and more important, or they impact your business even more as you grow as an entrepreneur. But at the start, you need just simple direction. You need to get the ball rolling with some action. That's how things get done, when you do things. So here it goes. Here's the one piece of advice I would tell my younger self. I would say take a day out of your life and do a simple exercise. And that's look at what you want to achieve. Look at the goal, whatever that is. Build this business that makes X amount of money in revenue or a certain amount of members at my site or whatever it is. Let's say, for example, my goal was to launch a podcast that gets 5,000 listeners a day. A very, very good goal. It's a stretch goal, and a lot of top podcasts don't even hit that number. So 5,000 is pretty good. That would put you probably in the top, let's say, 100 podcasts in your market, or in your category, depending on how competitive your category is. But if that's the goal, what do I have to do to get to that goal? You got to work backwards. Every little step. Now, there's a purpose of why we're going to write down and think about this in very, very detailed steps. So the podcast is huge. You're celebrating whatever it is, episode 200. You have 5,000 downloads every single day or every single episode. How did you get there? Of course, we're imagining here, but how would somebody get there? That obviously means you have to have a podcast, that you're recording episodes. But where does that come from? How do you get a show that gets that kind of traffic? Well, maybe I need to get a website together. Okay, that's one thing. Jot it down. How do you get that audience? Well, maybe I need to get in front of other audiences. Maybe I need to guest blog. Maybe I need to get on other podcasts. Okay, write that down. Well, maybe I got to get better on the mic, or maybe I got to be a better interviewer, or whatever the podcast is all about. Okay, maybe I should invest in some public speaking courses, or maybe some voice lessons. That's something I got to write down. I need equipment. How much does that cost? How am I going to get that money? Write that down. I need interesting guests, or I need interesting topics. How am I going to meet these people, or I get these stories? Do I have to go to conferences? Do I have to network? How do I broaden my network? Write that down. What are some things I have to do that? You get the point. Like, get down to the nitty-gritty details of every aspect of building your goal, building your project. Now, I'm just using the podcast example, but it could be anything. It could be building a business. It could be building a website. It could be building a blog. And I just use podcasting because it's like an isolated project. So the advice is get very practical about what it's going to take to get to your goal. What do you have to do? That's a huge question you should put on your whiteboard. You should write on a Post-it note and stick it on your laptop. What do you have to do to get there? That's really important to understand when you are starting out. It's not about who you are, your identity, your brand. All that stuff will come later. It's important. But really what you need to understand is what do you actually have to do every day? So when you get up in the morning or when you come back from work and you start working on your business, what is working on your business? What is working on your project? What does that actually mean? Does that mean surfing Facebook? Does that mean, just checking emails? Or does that mean doing those things that you wrote down that will get you to your goal? So that's really the one piece of advice I would give myself is ask yourself the question, what do you actually have to do practically? What are these steps? What are the instructions? And I love giving this analogy of IKEA furniture. IKEA furniture, they show you the picture on the front page of the guide. You open the box up of whatever you're building. Let's say, for example, you're building a dining set. It shows you the dining set already assembled with all the chairs around it and everything. But the box is flat and the chairs are not even assembled yet. But the picture on the cover of the actual instructions has it all completed. That's the goal. That's your goal, whatever it's your business, your podcast, your radio show, whatever it is. Now, when you open the first page of that IKEA guide or the IKEA instruction manual, it starts with one piece, one like plank of wood or something like that, right? It shows you all the little things you're going to need to have to build this thing. These number of screws, this is the tool you're going to use, right? I know this sounds really oversimplistic, but it's true. This is a great analogy. You know exactly what you need to get started. You know exactly what you have to do, and you start with step one. Just do this step. Just get started with this piece of wood, put the screws in it, bring these two pieces together, and now you're done with step one. Then step two, then step three, then step four. And you just got to keep doing things. The actual dining set is not going to come together by itself. You can't have the right mindset about building the dining set. It doesn't matter what your mindset is. You still have to do things. You might be thinking, I'm going to put this awesome tablecloth over it, and I'll put these placemats after it's built. And this is how we think about our websites and things like that. Like, I'm going to put this amazing image on there, and it's going to do this crazy, funky thing when you scroll down. And I'm going to incorporate these non-intrusive pop-ups. That's all bells and whistles. That's all tablecloth and table mats or table settings or whatever you want to call it. You got to build the actual dining set first, right? So think about what you have to do. Write it down. Get practical. If you don't know some of the answers, ask. Figure it out. Google it. Reach out to somebody who is already where you want to be and ask them, hey, these are the steps I have so far. What other things I have to do? I'm trying to find out, my to-do list, what I need to work on every time I go and work on my business. What do you have to do to make it happen? Guys, I got more on today's Q&A weekends, but before that, let me give love to today's sponsor, Design Crowd. Guys, Design Crowd is giving a VIP offer for listeners to the $100 MBA. You're going to save up to $100 on your next project. Just go to designcrowd.com/MBA. Let me tell you how Design Crowd works. When you visit that link, you'll post a brief description of your design, for example, a logo design. Design Crowd will then invite its 500,000 designers to respond. And then within hours, you'll receive your first design, and over the course of the next 3 to 10 days, you'll receive 50 to even 100 plus different designs from designers around the world. You get to choose from the best designs. All these designers are competing to earn your business. You just then pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. This is the best way to get the best work for your designs. Visit designcrowd.com/MBA and get your VIP $100 discount on your next project. Again, that's designcrowd.com/MBA. One of the best ways to get over your own fear, your own insecurities, your lack of confidence is to just get started and do. Just do things. Start working. It doesn't really matter if it's so perfect at the start. It doesn't matter if it's perfect. It's not going to be perfect. Let me just put you out of your misery right now. 100% when you're getting started, you're going to create things that are not perfect. You're going to create things actually that you're going to cringe at in a few years. But that's good. That means you're improving. That means you're doing. If you don't have things that are cringeworthy in your past, in your work, in your business, then you're not growing. So one of the ways to get comfortable and not live in your head and not to live in your thoughts of doubt and all that stuff is to set out your plan, set out your instructions for building your business. What are the steps? What do you have to do? And then do them. Guys, I hope today's lesson was enjoyable. Thanks, Kyle, for that amazing question. Guys, remember every weekend we do Q&A weekends where we answer your question right here on the show. Just email us at support@businessrepublic.net if you have a question you want answered on the show. Tomorrow we got a great question from Brian. Brian asks, how do I let go of a long-time employee in my business that is not working out? This is a tough one, Brian. I know, it's not easy. I've done it a few times myself, which is not really fun. But I'll give you my advice, my own experience, and help out everybody else who's listening that may have the same issue or may face the same issue in the future. All right, guys, I'll check you in tomorrow's episode. But before I go, I want to leave you with this. In a lot of ways, I feel like as a business builder, you got to see building a business as a physical activity, sort of like exercise or going to the gym or going to yoga. If you don't actually do the physical work, you're not going to get any of the physical results. Right? Now, I know you might not be building a physical business. It might be an online business or a, soft product, but it's the same. You have to do the work. You actually have to physically write things, create things, record things, put them together, put up a website, integrate some sort of payment processor, accept money, be out there in the world. You got to do things to see something real happen. Ideas don't build businesses. Implementation does. All right, guys, I'll check you in tomorrow's episode. I'll see you then. Take care.